Last week, myself, Greg and Andrew set off on a self-guided backcountry archery elk hunt into the Rocky Mountains of Idaho. We'd organised a drop camp where horses and pack mules are used to get us and our gear deep into the wilderness. The first 2 days had been pretty special as we'd seen good numbers of elk and also had our first chance at a setup on a big 6x6 bull, but he gave us the slip. After sunset on day 2, the bulls bugled all night around us, and early the next morning, it sure wasn't hard to get out of bed.
I'll keep my voice down for this one. On day 3, we've come up just above camp and just got the best scenario possible. A real distant bugler setting off a really fired up bull. Only 2 gullies around from camp. He's gone all night. He's probably been up bugling sporadically now for 10 hours. And we're hoping we can sneak right in on him this morning first thing. This is our big drainage. We've got our drop camp tent set up down here below us. We've got elk down there to my left, about elk above us to the right. We've been up over the top of the drainage and had a great first setup and call situation yesterday. So we're set again for another big day in the backcountry hunting bugling elk. This last little rise we should be able to get up and over and get eyes on this bull. He's in this gully system somewhere up the head of it. We've got a situation here. That bull's he's run back to where we saw him yesterday. We presume it's probably a really high chance he's the same one we played with, the big 6x6. But what we've got in our favour is these cows are really lagging behind. We've just glassed them up there, they're cow calling to each other, and the bull's well in front. So we've got an opportunity here to sneak up and give a satellite call to indicate that the younger bull's coming in to pinch him off him. Those cows take him away. Hopefully that big guy will come back in out of the cover. Pretty much after this, he's going to take him down there, bed up. I'll be in a tight little pocket.
We got set up and waited, and the cows filed through as predicted, but the big bulls seemed to have crossed higher up in the timber. Suddenly from behind us, we heard a hoof stomp. We turned around, and there, sneaking slowly up behind us, trying to do exactly what we were doing, was a young bull. I was still after my first elk with the bow, so I wasn't going to miss any chances. We hastily set up and with a few cow calls had him interested, but he just didn't want to cross the last few metres of open ground that would put him into bow range.
How cool was that, mate? We thought action. They're going off this morning. It's all on. We thought it was all over. He stood up, big go.
Yeah, you guys were down there. I've just come up. Next thing, a little satellite bull just come in to have a look at what we were doing.
Only 50 yards, we set up a little call and we nearly got him. I got caught in the trees. If I had a clear lane, I reckon he was on. That was a perfect de-stressor. But he's on.
Cobwebs out.
Yeah, he's gone. He's a satellite. We've got a bigger bull down here and those 2 answering. We come round under this top bull. We were trying to get a locate on him and he's let rip with a bugle. 2 actually. He's above me to the camera left, up on some series of benches. We did have another one down to my left. He's gone quiet, but we might have blown him out. But we've cut all the way around here to get the wind right because it's really sinking this morning. There seems to be no change in the thermal. We're going to track around. Get underneath him and try for a setup.
We pushed down through the timber but got blocked by elk grazing through ahead of us. The bull had to be nearby, so we set up, with Greg dropping back to call.
Okay, I'm set. Here's hoping this boy comes down from the hill. The wind's all over the shop. I think we're going to get a better chance.
The bull appeared at the edge of the bench above us. He let fly with a bugle, then headed back into the timber. The wind was still good, so we followed up, climbing to the point where we last saw him.
Got hoof marks here. This bull's turned from that cliff. this little draw. I'll sneak up these benches. There he is.
The bull had been holding in cover not 40 metres away the whole time. He broke out with his cows and headed out above us over the ridge. Bumping him was definitely disappointing, but we knew there would be plenty more chances. The day was staying cool, and in the distance further down the valley, other bulls could still be heard bugling hard. We eventually located them, but they were in the next drainage and way too far for a stalk with only day packs. We started on a huge circuit back to camp, still covering new ground and hoping to find elk along the way. By evening, we were set up and calling at the head of another new drainage, and an animal responded immediately, running in from over a kilometre away. Strangely, it turned out to be a young calf that was obviously lost. Seeking company, it came in to under 25 metres and was a beautiful sight, set against the backdrop of the Rocky Mountains. We all hoped it found safety soon, as no doubt the area's infamous wolves would be after it come nightfall. The encounter with the calf was undoubtedly the highlight of a pretty quiet afternoon, and just before last light we got set up on a high point to glass. In our final session for the day, just before this sun drops below the far ridge, we've managed to hit the jackpot. We're now sitting above our drainage camp. There's a few hundred metres down here, and below camp, out on the benches there, we've just seen a massive herd of elk graze into our drainage, probably 30 to 50 animals. We got spikes, we got cow after cow. There's a couple of bulls really bashing it out with some deep bugles. That's a top finish to the day, a massive day. We'll sleep tonight, but hopefully to the sounds of those guys bugling through the night to give us a start on them in the morning.
Yesterday afternoon, when we wrapped up and came into camp in the twilight, we spotted that big herd of elk feeding well below camp there. That was the perfect way to finish the day, to have a start for the morning. During the night, we heard a few bugles, and we had quite a bit of rain. We had some very light showers yesterday, but we actually got rain last night, and it's dropped the temperature a bit, and I don't know if that stirred things up or not with the bugling. It wasn't as loud as the night before, but it definitely gives us a clean slate to work from with regards to sign and tracking them. Good thing is we've punched up the hill straight above camp. It's not even 6 o'clock yet, and Greg's just spotted them pretty much where they were from last night. So with the whole drainage below us and the wind actually rising quite early this morning, we've got the breeze in our face. And a big day moving around on this huge herd of elk, probably upwards of maybe 50 animals. We've broken down probably the kilometre or so to this herd, probably only a couple hundred metres off it, and we can hear the big guy going. He might go shortly. It's now a matter of just going little crease by crease, sticking to the cover. Most likely we're going to bump into cows, but try and get him away from that big herd. Andrew and Greg are going to be taking the shot on this one.
We had now stalked our way right into the edge of the herd, and as predicted, the wary cows were everywhere. A A small creek provided great cover, and we closed in on the big herd bull that was bugling loudly not 60 metres away. Elk were now all around us. The breeze was perfect, so we set up for the shot. Andrew moved forward on the bow, and Greg hung back to do the calling. A satellite bull suddenly appeared to our left. Greg made the call, but despite the near perfect conditions, the big 6x6 bull was too smart.
Well, that was another setup that went the way of the elk. Mate, we did everything right then.
Yeah, a little close. Would have been, 60 yards from him.
He was just down below us. He shepherded a satellite bull out of the way, and Greg's calls worked a treat, but he just didn't want to fight.
No, after that bugle of Greg's, he turned, and then he just didn't want to risk losing the cows, I don't think. So he just took them down.
Yeah, and there was a heap of them, but he's still aggressively, I don't think he's happy about it.
No, he's bugling pretty hard down there. He's down by that creek.
It's going to be a matter of getting into just zero zone, 10 metres to get him to actually go us.
Yeah.
The bull rounded up his herd and took them away into cover. We left them to settle, and after more walking and looking, got lucky again, glassing some steeper country and finding another herd higher up in a rocky basin. We weighed up our options and decided that despite it being very warm with a tricky rising breeze, it was worth a go and we would try for a stalk. By early afternoon, we got moving and started on the long walk down the valley, and then picked a route up to start climbing the face, which would hopefully have us come in from around and above the elk.
This has actually worked out really well. Popped that little ridge, and the elk are exactly where we expected them to be. They're feeding in a basin, got the wind in our face. Just 1% of it done, the other 99 to go.
This time it was my turn on the bow. I crawled forward and got set, only 30 metres away from the feeding elk. Greg called softly, imitating a cow. I waited, desperately hoping for the bull to appear, but the all too familiar tale unfolded once again.
Another stalk bites the dust. Just about all out of answers with these guys. I had a beautiful wind in my face, cows feeding just below me. But something happened. The cows went away, and the bull, which was meant to be to my right, was not interested in our calls. He's just vanished. It's like he's dug a hole. I think he's just snuck out the top. Did see a beautiful big mule deer buck. That's the only positive. We might climb over the top and have a look into the next basin.
As we topped the ridge, we were greeted with an amazing sight. The big 6x6 bull was out in the open, on the move, tending his cows and slowly taking them away into the next valley. He was a magnificent sight and a prime example of a fully mature Rocky Mountain bull elk. Given the fading light, there was no way we could catch them. We were now 2 whole drainages away from camp, so reluctantly started on the long trek back up the ridge.
This track here is clearly from a wolf. One of the not so welcome locals around here, but check out the size of it. Easily the size of my hand. Definitely something you don't want to bump into, a pack of these hungry guys.
We had been blessed with some great numbers of elk in the area around us, but we'd now put a lot of pressure on them. We'd also spread around a lot of human scent, and they were starting to get shy. As we walked back that evening, we all agreed. Tomorrow, it was time to load up the backpacks and push deeper into the wilderness.
All right, we're all packed and ready to go. Unfortunately, the first K, straight up. Pretty much exactly what we wanted. A big stream of elk making their way across that face opposite to where we're going to camp. 2 big bulls in there at least. So we're now making our way down, slowly down this leading spine before we drop into the valley and make camp down there somewhere this afternoon.
Coming off the tops, we hit the dark timber and sign was everywhere. There was some huge rubs that got us fired up for what lay ahead. And after a big day of walking, we finally reached the valley floor.
It's just about go time again as we head down here to go in for another setup. We've reached the flat at the bottom of this drainage that we're packing into today, and we've been tracking a couple of big 6x6s bugling hard off this face just across the river. Cue the bull. He's down flat. We're going to drop packs, make camp here, or drop packs now and then go for him, come back and make camp here later. Hopefully with a bull, I reckon.
We dropped our packs and unloaded everything except the gear we needed for the afternoon stalk. Moving down the valley, multiple bulls could be heard bugling from across the river.
We're well into this stalk, but these bulls are in a pretty dodgy position. They're bugling their heads off up here behind me to my left, but the wind is all wrong. That's bull one, but the wind is going straight up to him. If we go sideways, there's cows everywhere. So we're in real need of a wind change. We're now just waiting on a thermal. These elk are above us, but we can't go in because the air is still rising. Got a lot of cloud cover today, so the atmosphere is staying warm. If the clouds would clear, the atmosphere would cool quickly, all this air. Only just starting to come down, elk are up there. Maybe another 10-15 minutes, it might be cold enough to start. Whether it run out of daylight though.
We waited until the last possible minute and the thermal finally began to pour down the hill into our faces. There were now at least 5 bulls bugling hard above us, so to maximise our chances, Andrew and I separated and headed up to spot and stalk, while Greg hung back, calling from inside the bush line to keep the bulls bugling. The plan worked perfectly, and with the light all but gone, I was surrounded by elk and finally got a bull in my sights. That is by far, a bit speechless, the best bugle session ever. In 10 years of chasing these things. That just went off. Stuff you dream of. Multiple bulls. We lost count after 4 or 5, all bugling at each other and intertwined with cows. And Greg did an incredible job keeping them going. We tried to set up, but they weren't going to come, so Andrew and I went in. I got up there, it was a few metres away from a cow, and they just, literally reach out with your arrow and touch a sheep fed away, chasing one bull, and then out of nowhere, the 6x6 appeared holding behind a pine tree. I was able to get right on one side of it, he was on the other. I got full draw, but he wouldn't come out. But hey, that's what I came here for, an experience like that. It just came down to one little move, fight or flight. I don't mind being beaten like that when it's that close. Today's the second last day of the archery season and the second last day of our hunt. We've had a really cold night and had quite a damp night as well with some light showers. I'm still on a bit of a high from that mad bugling session last night and getting within 10 yards of that big bull. We've come up on the same face that they were on, but the wind's just not right. One was bugling up here, but we're pretty much going to blow them out if we pursue them up here, and that will waste any options for this afternoon. We have heard one and seen one over my shoulder behind Andrew there on the other face in the thick dark timber, so that's probably our best option for now. We're going to head over there and tangle with him. The bull looked to be high up on the opposite face, holding in the dark timber, so we started up to close in. As it turned out, that whole day we never got near him. His distant bugles sucked us deeper and further into the timber, where the terrain was far more suited to elk than humans. As a consequence, we spent a frustrating evening slowly stepping our way home through a seemingly endless expanse of heavy deadfall. Last day of the season's arrived. Feeling the pressure slightly. Look, who knows what today will bring. We've thrown absolutely everything at these elk. Andrew and I were discussing last night after another marathon chase up the mountain. We've left no stone unturned. We've actually covered every little crag, slip, ridge and spur and drainage within reach, within legs. So we've heard a couple of bugles during the night. We've got our faithful side of this big steep mountain here. The plan for the morning is simply just to stay low and glass it. Basically, we'll chase any bull we see, any bull that bugles, and any mark we cross today in a last-ditch effort to get one of these things down. For the last time, we left camp and headed down the valley to cross the river and do battle with the bulls. But the face that was previously alive with elk had fallen silent. Now 1 month into the fall, the foliage of the trees was noticeably turning brighter as the days shortened and the temperature fell. We covered over 20 kilometres that day trying to find the elk, experiencing some spectacular scenery as we climbed up, over and across into a completely new drainage where from the edge of a high escarpment we finally heard the bulls again, bugling hard from below us in the pines. We moved in and tried desperately to stalk within range of the bull that was surrounded by extremely wary cows. I got tantalisingly close and literally crawled through cows to try for a shot, but luck just wouldn't come my way. As disappointing as it is, that was good fun. 20 metres, that's all it was, just 20 metres. Such is the frustration and commitment of archery hunting. I was on those elk for about an hour, I suppose, 2 or 3 times. Got into 50 metres on the bull. Not that I had a standing shot, but he was there. But tending his cows and taking them away. He's still going down there behind me. I think it's almost time to hand them the game. I'll clutch one last chance maybe in the fading light as the drizzle sets in. Well, that's the end of archery season at sunset tonight here in the Rocky Mountains and the end of our trip as we pack out tomorrow. Bit sentimental at the end, another trip, done and dusted. They're so damn hard, these animals, but there's something about them. Something about this place. It'll keep me coming back.
Maroka 30 is the proud hunting clothing and equipment sponsor of Beyond the Divide, custom designed for our local conditions and uniquely Australian. Ask for it in store at your local gun shop or check out the full range at maroka30.com.au.